Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Third Half Podcast on FCS Live. After a few-week break, Gerard Ascani, Jared Kleppel, we have a very exciting special edition of the FCS Live Podcast tonight. Gerard, to announce a new team that is joining the FCS next year in the 2025-2026. And what do you know about this team so far, Gerard?
Nothing. I literally know nothing. So everyone watching this knows exactly the same amount I do, if not more.
Potentially.
Than I do.
Potentially. We kept it a secret from Gerard so that it could be, we could have it live on air tonight, him discovering what team this is and them joining the FCS, and along with you all joining I believe this is going to be the first announcement. It wasn't on Facebook, it wasn't on Instagram or anything like that. This is going to be the very first announcement of this team coming to the FCS next year. By the way, before we get into it, FCS Tour is coming up, Gerard.
Soon.
First one will be in Lansing. It's in May. I don't have the exact date in my memory, but the FCS Tour is coming up. We have officially hit less than a month out.
May 24th.
May 24th, right here in the Lansing City Arena. This is where our studio is here in Lansing. It's going to be right here. And then after that, it's we have steady futsal.
Yeah.
For the whole summer.
Yeah, so if you were missing futsal or the third half, don't worry. Either one, they're going to be here soon.
So, and we're here right now.
Right now.
Well. And the other person that is here now as well with us, our special guest for tonight, it is TJ Van Slooten of Grand Rapids Soccer Club. Another one from Grand Rapids.
Yeah. What a hotbed. Three teams.
Another team from Grand Rapids. TJ Van Slooten, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight.
Thank you guys for having me. We're just really excited to be a part of this league and be a part of what you guys are building, and we see a bright future ahead for futsal in the States.
Awesome. Yeah, well, we're pumped to have you as a part of the teams in the FCS. Now, one of the things that I was also not aware of was, TJ, your exact role in the organization. Are you coach, owner? What's your role here for GRSC?
Yeah, so as it stands right now, I'll be the general manager. We do have an outdoor team playing right now in the Midwest Premier League. It's called Grand Rapids Soccer Club. But we're planning to go with the name Grand Rapids Futsal Club.
Okay.
And we hope to kind of create a new badge that's kind of based on the Grand Rapids Soccer Club badge. So that will require some work yet, but we think that futsal is just a really great way to keep our players active throughout the winter, and at the same time continue to give guys opportunities in kind of more ways than just traditional soccer. So
yeah, totally gotcha there. So will be a kind of an alternate branding coming up, still sort of out of the same organization, but it'll be Grand Rapids Futsal Club. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. So we have some exciting, new logos to look forward to. And just tell us, before I hand it over to Gerard to ask his, bubbling, I can see it right now. His head is overflowing with questions. Before I hand it over to him, how long have you been involved in GRSC?
So we started this team actually only 6 months ago. We've been the Grand Rapids SC brand since August or July of last year. We were playing together, a lot of us, just under Pass FC, their youth club in Grand Rapids. We were playing in the UPSL with their men's team. I was kind of running that as an assistant coach and a hands-on kind of general manager. And then our head coach was also very hands-on with management. And we just decided that it would be better off if we created something more neutral for the city of Grand Rapids to get behind, because we have a theory that that youth clubs and professional soccer don't really mix that well, because the youth environment being pay to play is so competitive. It can deter people from going to support their local professional sides. Um, we just see it because of that competition at the youth level. It kind of makes it difficult for um, professional sides to have that unity that they need in order to sell tickets and just the be like Switzerland for their community, the club that people can get behind. So that's our goal from this whole venture. And this futsal piece to it is very important because we don't have anything in the off season that we're doing. It's literally a 7 to 8 month gap, um, and we see this as a major solution because of the season length is quite long, and it keeps our guys active throughout the winter at a reasonable cost. We don't have any full size indoor fields in Grand Rapids, and so playing futsal is definitely much more accessible over here in Grand Rapids. And it's interesting. I think you can see it in the style of play of a lot of Grand Rapids players, and the way that they play outdoor. It's very kind of tight spaces oriented, lots of technical skill, um, versus a Detroit team that has all the, you know, full size fields to play on in the winter. Their game is much longer, and the Grand Rapids players are used to kind of link up play, like tight link up play and things like that. Um, yeah, it's just interesting, and I think it just kind of taps into the culture that we're looking for, with this club. So yeah, we're just excited to be a part of what you guys are building.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited to have you, and let's let those questions out, Gerard.
Yeah, well, I'd love to start just with you, TJ. Like, tell us a little bit about your background, not only with futsal, but with soccer.
Yeah, so I started playing when I was 3, and then first team was called the Orange Crush. Second team, Blue Sharks. Pretty common youth soccer names.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, both ASO teams. And then transitioned into Pass FC. My mother and father started Pass because there was no clubs on the northeast side of Grand Rapids, the north side of Grand Rapids, really. Um, and so it was started as a way to just kind of create a neighborhood club.
Mm-hmm.
So I played for them until I was 16, and then I went and played for the Michigan Wolves in Detroit, or Novi, really, and got recruited to play at the University of Michigan. Became a full ride, got a full ride athletic scholarship while I was there. Was one of the leading goal scorers for one of the years I was there. Um, and while I was at Michigan, I played at Detroit City FC, um, for three to 4 years. And after my time in Ann Arbor, I decided to move back to Grand Rapids, and I played for Grand Rapids Football Club, for about 2 years, and then just decided to focus on coaching from there. Played a little bit for West Michigan Bearings as well. They were a semi-professional side. Um, but yeah, and then I started coaching. I've actually been coaching since I was 18, and it's just been a rewarding experience, and um, definitely take a lot of interest in just watching players develop. It's one of the things that one of my passions in life is just to watch kids kind of learn and get better with the game. Uh, and that's part of the reason why we're in this league. So
Now, you mentioned a vast background with soccer and the outdoor game. What about with futsal? Did you play younger, just kind of
It
like immersed amongst that time?
Yes, yeah, I actually played for, Fabian Rodriguez, of,
Oh.
uh, Olay when it was ABK, so that was their semi-professional team.
Mm-hmm.
We played against I think we played against Jinga, that's one of the yeah. I'm pretty sure we played against Jinga, and, but they're the only team that I can remember playing against. I don't know, maybe that it wasn't them, but it was definitely an Ohio team. Um,
Okay. Could have been Columbus. I know Columbus has had a team for a while.
yeah, it
Um,
might have been Columbus, actually, yeah.
I don't know how long Jinga's been around. I know they've been around for a few
Mm-hmm.
years, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the extent
Okay.
of
It was
their length. But
there was a lot of Brazilians on the team, that's what I remember. But yeah, I have about a year of futsal semi-professional experience under my belt. I coach futsal throughout the winters,
Mm-hmm.
in our youth club. By the way, I coach at Pass FC, the same club that I grew up playing for. And yeah, so I guess the plan right now is that I'll be coaching the team.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking for a head coach though. So if you guys know anyone, let me
And
know.
so, if you get a head coach, what's the likelihood we see you on the court?
I mean, it's possible. My issues have been my body doesn't quite hang in there like it used to.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of injuries, but seems like I have rotten luck. I had a concussion maybe 2 years ago. Now
Uh,
I haven't really gotten back into it. So
Well, one of the things you mentioned about your passion for like developing talent and coaching, and one of the things you shared earlier about this idea of creating a professional team that's like Switzerland, right?
mhm.
I was thinking as you were talking about like being Switzerland as a pro team in Grand Rapids, that there wouldn't really be an emphasis or a focus on like a youth academy side or developing talent. But now you're saying that's a passion. How do those two things kind of align?
Yeah. So Fabian it's actually funny. Fabian helped us kind of launch this GRSC thing as an outdoor team. And we thought that, we really need something in the winter for our guys to do. And Fabian's team is just so high level, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's where our best players play in the winter. But there's a host of other guys on our team who are looking for a place to play in the winter. I know one of the worries about us joining the league was it would be oversaturated in Grand Rapids.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked to Fabian. He thought it would be a really good idea for us to join just because it would give guys more opportunities. It would create a deeper player pool. And, he was just totally supportive of the idea. So we decided to run with it.
yeah,
And to be honest with you, it's our full intention to work with Fabian and build kind of Grand Rapids soccer in general and Grand Rapids futsal, just to be a powerhouse of a city for the game in all aspects.
yeah. Yeah, on that note, we had a comment from Roger Straz, one of the Jenga players, and he said, "How does Grand Rapids have so many quality players?" And I know that's like you mentioned about the oversaturation. I mean, what do you think the answer to that is? Because I mean, for anyone that's familiar with the state, like
Mm-hmm.
it is like a pretty well-known thing that Grand Rapids has a lot of talent in soccer and futsal. So
Mhm.
how would you answer that question, TJ? Like, how is there so many quality players in this city?
I think it's a multitude of things, though. One of the things, like I mentioned earlier, was that we don't have the same types of facilities as they do on the east side of the state or in Ohio or in Indiana. We don't have the full size pitch, the full size indoor pitch
Mm-hmm.
that these other places have, and it kind of forces people to adapt and play a different style and play in different settings. Those include indoor facilities, and the other thing is we do have a pretty strong street culture here in
Mm-hmm.
Grand Rapids. There's a guy named Michael Dublis. He runs the Soccer Rebellion, And then there's another guy named Mitch Rosendahl. He runs We Play. And I think those guys have done a lot for Grand Rapids in terms of just creating a really strong street soccer culture. And obviously, futsal and street soccer kind of have similar features, being a small-sided form, more small-sided, I should say. But definitely the types of techniques that you need in street soccer are very similar to those in futsal. A lot of soul work. So I would say just those two things in general are the things that come to mind.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are other things that kind of have created a little, talent pool in Grand Rapids.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the things that what I think about is I feel like soccer, futsal. You talk about the street soccer presence. I feel like you can see it in. There's a lot of culture surrounding it. There's a lot of families around it. There's a lot of friends that gather around it. It's like there's this cultural piece that I know, like here in Lansing, it doesn't exist in the same way. Like we don't have that. It's not like I feel like there's so many families and friends where it's like it's embedded into how they hang out, how they, just live life. And I think that, brings out, a heavy talent and just people playing all the time, playing for the fun of it, whether they're good or not good, they get out and play. And, you can, sometimes you realize you can play, or you've been playing since you were, super short. And now you have a lot of experience, but that's kind of what I think about. And a follow-up question as far as, particularly for Grand Rapids area, but also just in the FCS. TJ, what do you feel like your club is going to bring that is unique and distinct from the other Grand Rapids teams, but also like the other FCS teams? Like what is going to be the special piece that you guys are adding that's unique, to you?
That's a good question. I think we're going into this with an open mindset, and we're trying to keep keep that open mindset throughout our first season. I'll be honest, I feel like this first season for us is just about discovery and kind of figuring just that out of what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out how we can build our unique brand in futsal. I've been coached by Fabian, and so I'm familiar with the way he coaches, and I continue to learn from him to this day. And there are a lot of great futsal coaches in Grand Rapids. I know that I'm far from the best, but I think that developing our own style definitely goes hand in hand with the coaching of futsal, and developing our own culture kind of follows that. And so I'm excited to kind of figure out what it is that makes us special, and dig deep into the futsal coaching side of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you anticipate a lot of the players that you currently have in the club being the players that play in FCS, or will there be open tryouts?
Yeah, I do. We've actually already had some interest from guys, based on just the few that I've told. Those of them who will watch this podcast will be learning it for the first time that we're entering the league. But there are a few that we've told who are really excited about playing futsal in the winter and definitely have what it takes. There's a few guys actually on GRSC that play for Ole right now, and we don't have, as I mentioned before, we don't have any intention in obviously, like, those players are Ole players, and we totally respect that. We're not going to be trying. In fact, we will encourage them to play for Ole. But one of those is Aaron Gomez.
Mhm.
Aaron is just an incredible player. For outdoor, he was our player of the year, or our player of the season last fall. He was our leading goal scorer, and just so crafty on the wing. Great footwork, great technique, great speed, and great competitor. And I know that he's done well in FCS, and I expect that he'll continue to do well. But there are players that are of the same caliber as Aaron that aren't playing futsal, and that we're really excited to showcase those players.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll admit, when I started playing futsal, it was an adaptation that I had never had to use my soul more.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's like a total, it's a you have to switch your brain around and get used to these new types of habits, and a lot of those guys have never experienced that
Mm-hmm.
type
Yeah.
of play. And I think that there is a really great like ability for guys to adapt to that. I adapted pretty well to it. Um, and it takes maybe a month or two of you know steady play, and you eventually catch on to those little habits like receiving with the soul, and a lot more soul work, and kind of the tactics involved. um, so I'm optimistic that we can produce some really great futsal players who you guys haven't seen yet, which is very exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. That definitely seems like talking with you, that's one of your main goals is you want to showcase more of the the talent that is in Grand Rapids. Like you guys wouldn't be taking this step if you didn't think that there were more players that had the ability to compete, right?
Right.
You're not just putting a team out there because you just want to have a team. It's like, hey, I think obviously there's already 2 teams in Grand Rapids, so adding a third team, like you kind of have to be pretty sure about that like we want to do this, and that's really cool that you want to provide that that opportunity for more people.
hmm Yeah, and I think we were already talking about this a bit, but with like the street soccer leagues, it's like people are more connected by futsal and street soccer in Grand Rapids than they are with any other
Mm,
club like outdoor experience.
interesting.
Um,
Interesting.
just because you go to these soccer rebellion events, there's 2 or 3 really nice street street soccer courts in Grand Rapids at different locations. And the one that's been recently built downtown is just like a mecca where a lot of people will just come together, and you'll see, the players that you grew up playing with, and I think there's just a pretty tight knit community here in Grand Rapids of guys that still love seeing each other around, and street soccer and futsal is kind of how that has come together, or allows us to come together. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are you going to be recruiting at any of these events? I heard a rumor there's one tomorrow night.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Isn't it tomorrow night?
TJ's gonna go out there and start playing. Whoever beats him, he'll say, "Hey, here's tryout date."
If there is actually, yeah, Friday nights. I mean, that sounds about right. It's the first I'm hearing about it, but I'll have to look. I'll have
Was
to
that quick research right there?
No,
Or
it
did
was
someone-
actually it's Andres Montez. He's been like promoting it, and
Okay,
so we're
gotcha.
gonna go out there. My family and I are going out there tomorrow night to check it out. We want to see the goalkeeping on the concrete and see how that works. 'Cause
Oh,
we're like,
man.
are you gonna dive? And he's like, he does.
it's
It's like,
rough.
whoa, all right.
It can be a bit rough. That's where I actually had my concussion.
Oh,
And when I
ouch.
decided, all right, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is they play for money, and so there's just
Mhm.
like this fight for your
Oh,
life kind of mentality. But
Mhm.
yeah.
there's some games that are much more chill, but sometimes it gets a little too intense for some old men like me. Yeah.
One other question that I had, switching gears just a little bit back to what you talked about as far as developing youth and that being a big passion of yours, and just your experience doing that, how you love to see it, is and maybe I'm getting ahead of ourselves. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this question, but are you guys planning to try to participate in the FCS futures as well?
To be honest with you, I we're planning just to participate in the league to start. I mean, and we'll just, to be honest, I'm not super familiar with the other programs.
Okay, yeah,
'Cause futures is the youth.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep,
and it's
yep.
it's brand new. It just this year is going to be the first year. So like I said, I don't know if that was like a if that was not a dicey question, but just like things in the works or whatever. But that just made me think about it. But that does lead me to, I am curious to hear a little bit more about when you said that you just love seeing the youth develop into greater players. Tell me more about what your experience has been like that and what you found so rewarding in, as a coach, as a whatever your role might be, providing opportunity for kids to grow and development. Because, ultimately that's, in a sense, it's connected to what this, you guys are doing as GRFC is like, you're trying to provide opportunity for more players. And so for the youth side, it's, that's kind of what you're doing, developing them. So tell me more about like what has been so rewarding to you about developing youth players and your experience in that area.
Hmm. I mean, I guess it's hard to put a specific theme or word into why I enjoy it so much, but I just enjoy watching us improve at a faster rate than other teams.
Mm.
Like my I coach a very young team. I also coach a U19 boys team, but I coach a U8 team as well. So I have very kind of major difference in
Yeah, very diverse
where they're
age
at.
groups there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But the U8 boys, they just learn things so quickly. Like it's just fascinating to see them go from like barely being able to move their foot a certain way into you know, just being really proficient with their feet. And I think for us, like having trained throughout the winter with futsal, we're looking pretty good and outdoor now, just because of the different skills that we've picked up. And I think futsal provides a very what do you call it? Like a very standardized like surface, like um a predictable surface
Mhm.
without the grass, no
Mhm.
grass, or even turf can be in some ways unpredictable if there's bumps underneath it. But futsal is obviously a flat gym floor. You know exactly what you're doing. There's no excuses if you mess up. Um, so I think my boys got a lot out of just the different types of techniques that we teach in futsal, like the
Yeah.
soul work. And um, we played against some teams that were incredible. There's a club called Guatemala FC, and then there's Alliance FC, and both of those teams are from the Wyoming area, I believe, and they just produce incredible talent. Um, there's a kind of a Latican style to their play. They do a lot of soul delays, and these kids are like 7 years old. It's unbelievable. So
Wow.
they just have this ability to like pick these things up at such a young age, and it's clear that they watch soccer. Um, so we learned a lot from playing those different types of teams. But um, yeah, I don't know. I just having grown up in the game and having um, been having received the opportunities that I had when I was playing, I want the same thing for the youth of my community that I'm coaching in.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of what I would like to see happen. And I have goals as a coach as well, and that centers around the success of my players. So would love to see my players playing at a really high level, and I have ideas of where I want to see certain players. So I guess it's it's hard to put it. As I said, it's hard to say exactly what it is, but it's
Yeah.
something that I enjoy. So,
Do
do
you
you
see a
guys
future?
do any coaching, or you guys do any coaching yourselves, or no?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, theoretically, No, no, but literally yes. Yeah, I coach my son's team. I do the best I can, but
Gotcha.
it's a weak effort. So it's one of the I just don't have the patience for working with the kids, so it's a challenge. And then I have like really complex concepts that I'm thinking of that it becomes hard to communicate. So I do
Right.
the best I can to work effectively on it, and it's a fun time. Like I have a great time, and I think one of the things you mentioned too, of seeing that growth and development, of like tangibly seeing that change over time, is actually really rewarding, and it's just great. So I've done that for about 2 years, and we did the same thing. We had our futsal experience this off season, and it was just really great to see the development of the kids, and especially how much futsal played into that technical ability as well was really
Mhm.
great. But so one of the things that naturally comes to mind, you talk about the background you have with Pass FC. What's the
Mhm.
future look like for Pass with Grand Rapids Soccer Club?
Well, we want to keep them totally distinct.
Mm-hmm.
We do have 2 coaches on staff who are part of Pass FC. We have an ASO United coach as well. Um, and our team consists of coaches from Michigan Power, from Michigan Rangers, um, Michigan Football Academy, MFA, or
Mm-hmm.
Revolution, however you want to put it. Um, and yeah, so we have kind of a steady mix of everything. We got guys who coach at East FC as well. So there's just a really heavy mix of different youth clubs, and we think it's just so important to kind of keep to stay as new to keep GRSC as neutral as
Mm-hmm.
possible. Um, but in terms of pass, getting into FCS futures, it's a possibility. I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but we've actually been working with Fabian to uh, we've put a couple teams in his winter league.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, fun fact: Fabian is actually my brother-in-law's brother-in-law. So he's actually like,
That's cool. That's
yeah,
cool. Just when you thought the Grand Rapids connections, like, couldn't get any more connected,
I
here
Yeah.
we
know, I
go.
know. Yep. So yeah, we talk about this stuff all the time. So definitely looking to work more closely with Fabian over the years, and we'll see what happens with the youth futsal on the youth futsal side. I
Yeah.
think some discussions are warranted first.
And there's another component you might not know as well. Next season we will have FCS women's, and so natural question as well. Do you have a women's team and a future for that?
Well, I will just say that we are looking to have a women's team
Mm-hmm.
be a part of GRSC. So yeah, that's very exciting. We would definitely look into the women's side of FCS, and um, the player pool that we've traditionally had for women's teams in Grand Rapids are college players.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be a different player pool, and I'm not sure it would be kind of difficult because with men, I think you get a lot more of that kind of competitive spirit lasting later into their 20s. And with women, a lot of times they are looking to get on with their lives in those early 20 years. Um, so we would have to assess that, but it's very interesting. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, joining us on the show tonight, TJ Van Sluten of Grand Rapids Soccer Club, soon to be Grand Rapids Futsal Club, rebrand coming their way for the futsal side. Of course, GRSC will still exist. If you have any last minute questions, sorry, because I'm going to give TJ the last word here. We won't have time for any of your questions, other questions. So TJ. This is, our wrap-up portion. I just want to kind of give you the opportunity just to say any words you want, next 30 seconds, a minute, whatever you'd like.
We're just really excited to be a part of this venture. I think the growth that we've seen in FCS throughout the past years has been inspiring, and we see it as a good way to promote our brand, as well as help futsal grow in the States. And hopefully we can have that kind of major futsal league that we're all looking for.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate your time, TJ, and letting us take a little peek under the hood of this club and your guys' plans for the next year. And we're excited to have you playing in the FCS next year.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Very excited.
Yeah,
well.
You bet. The last question, just because I just thought about it. Bonus question. Well, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not likely and 10 being quite likely, how likely is it that we will see Grand Rapids Futsal Club in one of the FCS tours this summer?
This summer, we already I was contacted about a date. Unfortunately, our summer season is conflicting with one of the dates, and so I don't think, unless there are other dates, would be curious to learn about. But I would say probably 30%.
30%. All right. 30% chance. You heard it here, folks. Lock it in, take it to the bank. 30%. 1 out of 3. For sure. He did all the calculations in his head. I saw it, through the screen. It was like exact, right down to the decimal. So anyways, TJ, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. We'll see you later. Amazing. What a great time to have TJ on the show. And that was the only segment that we had planned for the night, Gerard. And we have the FCS tours coming up.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, May 24th?
Yeah, May 24th.
May 24th. So FCS tour is coming up soon. And who knows, we might have a bonus third half podcast. You never know when it's going to pop up like we did tonight. Last word, Gerard.
I mean, Fabian Rodriguez, wow.
He's
every
everywhere.
time we just learn more and more. As soon as we learned that it was Grand Rapids, the first question that came into my head was, I wonder if at all Fabian's connected to this.
Oh, that was
Of course he is.
Yep.
And it's like, wow, and Roger asked us in the chat about Grand Rapids and the quality of players, and it just makes me keep going back to the work that Fabian's done in the community to really give people an opportunity to play. And that's one of the things that we heard TJ talk about, was just opening up the opportunity for more people to play. Because a lot of times, especially on the Ole team, they're so talented, so deep.
I mean, they're like 3 lines deep.
They have people that aren't even dressing for the matches that would be outstanding players. And so, in a lot of ways, this is great to give some of those players a chance to shine too.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to see what the trifecta of Grand Rapids teams brings to the FCS next year, including GRFC. And that's going to do it for tonight. I'm Jared Kleppel along with Gerard Ascani, the third half podcast signing off. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Committing a crime so you can try to escape from prison. Bad idea. Going to the pod escape room to play an escape game with your friends. Great idea. Test your skill as an astronaut in outer space. Find Santa in Save Christmas. Or take a vacation to an abandoned island. Just don't get stuck there.